Gentleman from North Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank all of you for your time and patience, and apologize for being in and out with 3 different committees, holding hearings and markups all today. But listen, as a freshman member of Congress, as I've had the opportunity to listen today, I'm delighted to see that this committee is united in defending Americans' Fourth Amendment rights. And as we approach FISA reauthorization, I do think it's important to build upon the progress made last Congress in protecting Americans from unconstitutional searches. And that starts with addressing some of the shortfalls of last year's reauthorization and reforming Intelligence and Securing America Act, also known as RISA. Obviously, my biggest concern is the failure to include a warrant requirement, which failed as an amendment on the House floor. However, I understand there were other provisions in the bill that ought to be addressed, and one concern I have is the expansion of the definition of electronic communication service providers. I've been a pastor for 36 years, and I often worry about the ways in which government can be weaponized against churches and other religious institutions. So, Mr. Chair, does the expanded electronic communication service provider provision in RISA mean that even churches and other places of worship could be demanded to facilitate the warrantless surveillance of their people?
I believe so. I mean, if you look at the requirements for being considered an ECSP, an electronic communication service provider, most churches are providing Wi-Fi service to their parishioners when they come. My church does. I suspect your church does. And they do that using communications equipment, right? A Wi-Fi router that may be installed in the ceiling or somewhere else. So they really fit the definition of an ECSP, and therefore, at any moment, somebody from the FBI could come along and say, you know, you have somebody in your congregation that we're suspicious of, and we want you to give us access electronically to everything that they're doing on their phone when they use your Wi-Fi service during the service. And they could force you as a pastor to do that, and they could also order you that you can't tell the person about it, right? So they're really dragooning people into secret surveillance of their parishioners or customers if they're a small business or whatever it may be.
Wow, that's pretty scary.
Now, we don't know that it's actually happened,
right?
But the way the law was drafted, that would be allowed.
Exactly. Well, Mr. Chair, your group, the Project for Privacy and Surveillance Accountability, lists on its website, quote, solutions to protect privacy and restore appropriate legal protections. The first solution on this list is requiring annual audits of surveillance programs. How does oversight of the use of FISA by government agencies currently operate?
Well, the most effective oversight right now is this process of having to have it reauthorized every couple of years. In the old days, when it was every 5 years, you know, the agencies would basically do what they wanted until about a year before the reauthorization, and then they would try to clean up their act, and they can't do that anymore. So just this annual process, or this biannual process, is useful.
And are there specific additional steps that you believe Congress can take to improve the oversight of the use of FISA by our government agencies?
I think demanding more information from the FBI and the Justice Department about how these programs are actually being used, and then following up when they inevitably don't respond.
Oh, thank you very much for that. Mr. Chudnowski, in your written testimony, you mentioned that the intelligence community has used artificial intelligence to assist in conducting surveillance. While we all want our intelligence community to be able to conduct proper surveillance of foreign actors who seek to do us harm, we've got to ensure that developing technology is not used to further violate our Fourth Amendment. In just the last few seconds we have left, what steps would you say that Congress can take to ensure law enforcement uses AI in a way that respects Americans' Fourth Amendment rights?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question, Representative. I think that we don't want to necessarily deter agencies from using new technologies to help them carry out their public mission. But that being said, as that that technology's capacity to go and help them potentially violate people's rights gets that much greater, it makes it that much more important that we have these guardrails in place. Having that warrant requirement, as Congressman Knotts was talking about before, the procedural elements of getting that warrant are very important, I think, to carrying out the mission, but they don't even have to worry about that right now, right? So if we're going to be leveraging these powerful technologies, let's make sure that we have those processes and procedures in place to minimize and hopefully, ideally, eliminate the misuses that have been well documented for years.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you all again for your time and your persistence. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.